Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Antigua's Prime Minister tested positive for COVID-19. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 13th April 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Gaston Brown has contracted COVID-19. The head of the Antigua and Barbuda government told his radio audience on Point FM on Saturday he's in good spirits. He says, apart from feeling slightly congested, he is not experiencing any debilitating symptoms.
Notwithstanding the fact that I tested positive for COVID yesterday, I'm doing fine. So I'm taking a decongestant. But other than that, I think that I'm doing well. And it's evident that the vaccines that I took, that they're working. Otherwise, I presume I may have been in serious trouble. The job is such that, I'm always exposed. And that is why I took the opportunity about 2 years ago to get vaccinated quickly, because I recognize that perhaps it would have been a matter of when that I would have gotten COVID based on the exposures that I've had with visitors. I'm in good health within my own family. They have been testing and they're all negative.
Over in Barbados, emergency repair works are on the way at the Bell pumping station, where critical infrastructure in danger of collapsing are being attended to since Sunday.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley, Senior Minister Dr. William Duguid, and officials from the Ministry of Transport and Works got a first-hand look at the work. Motley said the old infrastructure laid down more than a century ago had to be replaced without further delay. She appealed to Barbadians to be patient, noting that workmen had to do additional unexpected corrective work that added 6 hours to the job. 1/3 of the country effectively relies on the Bell pumping station for their water supply.
St. Lucia's Prime Minister Philip J. Pear is urging the public to be conservative in their use of fuel and petroleum products as prices continue to climb. He says, however, that the government is putting measures in place to cushion the blow. Jason Darius of the DBS News World reports.
An adjustment to fuel prices came into effect on Monday, 11th April 2022. As a result, the cost of gasoline and diesel at the pumps increased from $14.95 to $15.95 per gallon. For cooking gas, the 20-pound cylinder increased from $45.46 to $49.81. The 22-pound cylinder increased from $39.01 to $43.79. And the 100-pound cylinder rose from $266.43 to $309.89. Prime Minister Philip J. Pear has expressed concern about the impact of rising fuel prices amid the latest hike in the cost of gasoline, diesel, and LPG locally.
As you know, we do not control the price of fuel. We never had, and we never will. The price of fuel is going up, but in every country in the world. In St. Lucia, the price went up by $1 from today, and that is because the government is concerned that if we collect the revenue that we projected to collect from fuel prices, the price of fuel would have been about $19.95. Right now, at the current price of fuel, the government revenue is about 80 cents, an average of 80 cents, which means even at the $2.50, we are subsidizing oil, basically, in terms of the revenue by 80 cents minus $2.50, which is $1.70, if my arithmetic is correct. And if we had to price the oil at the $4 revenue that was projected by the last government, we're actually losing $3.20 on revenue. So what's happening? Whereas I understand and I feel very concerned about the effect of the price of fuel. It really is inevitable, and the government is taking a really hit on revenue because we are insisting that we keep the price at a level that people will complain, and I expect people to complain. They have a right to complain because it's affecting their pocketbooks. But the fact is, we are actually losing revenue to ensure that the price doesn't go to any level that becomes, like in Barbados, it's actually $20 a gallon.
Prime Minister Pierre says measures have been put in place to mitigate against adverse effects of the rising cost of fuel.
Well, we are subsidizing gas, 20 points in of LPG, and by over $22. So measures are in place. The measures are in place in that we are losing revenue on gas, on fuel sales, and actually subsidizing LPG by $20 and $20 to ensure that the full force of the impact is not felt by the consumer.
Prime Minister Pierre urges St. Lucians to be conservative in fuel consumption. The public is informed that the next adjustment to the retail price of fuel products will be on Monday, May 2nd, 2022. For the DBS News World, I am Jason Darius.
Bahamian Prime Minister addressed his National Security Minister's controversy.
Prime Minister Dave is not mincing words on the controversy surrounding recent comments made by his National Security Minister on juvenile consent laws. It was last week Thursday when the Honorable Wayne Munro explained consent based on the law when asked about the unlawful sexual intercourse case of a 14-year-old girl impregnated by a 40-year-old man who was sentenced to 4 years in prison, 3 years parole after a plea deal. There were even calls mounting for the National Security Minister's resignation.
I don't know that what he has done amounts to that. He has already expressed his regrets in my conversations with him, and if you follow what he had to say, it appears to be more of his personal view, and he has to come to learn as a young politician. And when he holds posts as he does, his personal views may be best kept with himself and personal.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Chairman of UNIPET of Trinidad and Tobago says the fuel price hike that takes effect next week was long in coming. According to Dr. Afraz Ali, Trinidad and Tobago is now in the catch-up phase. Nicole M. Romani of TV6 News has more.
The UNIPET chairman explains that the fuel market is now heavily regulated and he is looking forward to its liberalization. He tells us, given the existing economic situation, the most important point to consider is the margin when fuel prices increase on April 19th.
The reason for that would have been what is happening on the international stage and the fact that we no longer are the ones producing the fuel, the premium and the super and the kerosene. So generally, we look forward to a move towards that where the prices will be set by the market forces. And obviously that will allow for a proper and adequate margin for both the retailer as well as the wholesaler so that they can manage their business and be sustainable going forward in what is a really very essential service provided to the consumers and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
The UNIPET chairman gave a breakdown of the company's revenue based on what is charged at the pump.
Yeah, so if it is that you buy 1 liter of fuel, although you would pay $5.95 at the pump, we would get 24.5 cents on that liter.
Right.
With respect to, but then we had regular, but now it's kerosene. Basically, the margins are the diesel, we get 19.5 cents. For the retailer gets a little bit more in terms of the margin. So the retailer will now get, based on the large margin increase, the retailer will get 27.5 cents per liter for premium and super, and for diesel, a smaller value, just around 22.5 cents.
Dr. Ali says a study showed before the margin increase in 2021, a margin close to 39.5 cents is required after considering operating costs that have since been increased to allow stations to make less than 1% net profit after tax. He says for government to subsidize, it will cost billions of dollars, which the economy cannot afford at this time. Meanwhile, former Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine tells TV6 the price increases will put additional strain on the population.
There's a lot of dislocation that has happened in the last 2 years. So the question is, was this the correct time to do it? And the answer might be, well, there is never a correct time to do it. Is the health of the economy in bad shape? And the answer might be yes. Given that we've come out of what is now 6 years of constant economic contraction. People have been saying on social media that it's the first time they see oil prices go up, oil prices rise, and usually that's a cause for some sort of celebration in Trinidad. But we have the opposite effect.
However, he too says the government cannot afford to absorb that subsidy as the country is no longer earning the quantum of money it used to. And he explains that in recognition of that, the finance minister is transferring some of the burden onto the population. Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
One day after Guyana abstained from voting at the United Nations for Russia to be suspended from the UN Human Rights Council, the government of Guyana has indicated that its decision come as a result of the absence of a full human rights violation report. News source Guyana's Gordon Mosley reports.
On Thursday, the United Nations General Assembly voted to suspend Russia from the organization's leading human rights body on allegations that Russian soldiers attacked and killed civilians during the invasion of Ukraine. Although Guyana and a number of other CARICOM states, including Barbados, abstained from the vote, the General Assembly was still able to achieve a two-thirds majority to pass the resolution. In defending Guyana's position to not vote on the resolution, although it has condemned the Russian invasion of Ukraine, President Irfan Ali today said enough facts were not presented on the allegations leveled against Russia.
This matter was discussed among heads. There is an ongoing process. There's two things that is happening. The UN has launched a process of doing the investigation to come up with the factual basis on what is happening in terms of human rights violation. And what we have said is that once that report comes out, the UN report comes out, then the findings of that report must be respected and supported.
According to the president, the government of Guyana is working along with CARICOM, and its position was based on a decision at the CARICOM level, although half of CARICOM member states voted in favor of the resolution.
We are working with CARICOM. We were coordinating information flow also to understand what is happening in the rest of the region, because this was something that came up very quickly. You will appreciate that. And it's weighty decisions.
Although Guyana abstained from voting on the resolution to suspend Russia from the UN Human Rights Council, the president said the country's position on the invasion of Ukraine remains the same.
We are very strong. Let me be very clear. We are very strong against this war. We are very strong against the invasion of Ukraine. We stand solidly with the rest of the world in condemning the war and in asking Russia to go back to diplomacy and in having this war brought to an end. That is without a doubt.
The invasion and war in Ukraine have claimed thousands of lives and millions have been displaced. Russia continues to attract the scorn of the international community over its actions. A number of powerful countries have made moves to isolate Russia because of the invasion and human rights abuses.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.